let's get down to money. I want to talk about money as energy, but first I want to talk about your relationship with money. And if you see this guy here, this is Brian in the banker days, right? This is Brian being a banker. And when Brian was a banker, I went in to become a banker when I was 22 years old. I went from MIT. I had a degree in mechanical engineering, and all of the Wall Street firms like Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley and JP Morgan went to MIT to recruit these rocket scientists, right? We were the ones that were so good in math and engineering that we could come to Wall Street and teach them how to create these financial derivative products that they could sell to their customers to customize risks. So they could say invest in oil and real estate at the same time. They could invest in interest rates and this stock at the same time. And they could customize their portfolio and create all of these exotic equity and debt derivative instruments. And of course, I was interested because I had started my career as an engineer. I worked for Ford Motor Company in Dearborn, Michigan in 1990. I loved it because I had a Ford Mustang when I was a kid and I love cars, but I also realized it was not my future. I wasn't going to be able to scale to become a multimillionaire at Ford Motor Company. And then I worked for a company called the Aerospace Corporation in 1991 in Los Angeles, right near where the SpaceX is right now. I worked on the Galileo space probe. Again, amazing, but I just didn't see it scaling my life. So I wanted to work on Wall Street. I watched the movie Wall Street. I wanted to be Gordon Gekko. I wanted to go there, ride around in limousines and crush my enemies, just like Gordon did. And I got excited and I went to Wall Street. And I worked for a company called Bankers Trust. It was right next to the old World Trade Center, which of course later came down. I was on the 33rd floor, and my first day, they gave me a phone and said, this button is to the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. This button is to the bond future pit. This button here is to buy and sell U.S. government bonds. Go. And it was so exciting, and I loved it, and it was fascinating, and I started trying to make money. And I learned all about how to make money, how it works, and I tried to make a lot of money for myself. And I got really obsessed with this concept. And I got kind of skewed, just how sometimes people can get way into bodybuilding or way into dieting or way into porn or way into whatever. And I went all the way down the rabbit hole, as did my friends, when it came to making money. And I moved to London. I worked for 9 years here in the financial business. And it got to a point where I was just not happy making money anymore. It was not enough. And I don't think it's enough for anybody just to do something for yourself, to be the best you. I think if it's not pushing back to other people, it's never going to help. And so I walked away from it all because I didn't like my relationship with money. The other thing I was doing with my money is I was just holding on to it for maybe a rainy day, or I don't really know what I was doing, but I wasn't actually spending it. I wasn't investing it. Sure, I would take trips and get things for myself and every now and then get some education, but I really wasn't using it to flow like energy. And I want to talk about that in the next part. So my relationship with money was kind of twisted. I didn't really know how to let it work for me and make it work for me. And I want to talk about that in the next part. But I want to talk about your relationship with money, because most likely you learned about money from your mom and your dad. And those are two individuals that probably had a bad relationship with money. And if you look back at your household, maybe your mom was always worried about not having enough money. Maybe you had a poor dad like Robert Kiyosaki that always said, no, no, no. They thought money was dirty. They thought selling was dirty. They thought rich people were entitled and bad. If this is you, just type in yes to this chat or tell me, what is your relationship with money? Do you ever feel weird about money?